Hello and welcome to Sri Raj IS. My name is Shashank Roy and we are here with a new topic related to geopolitics. Yes, we are talking about the US-Iran war, the West Asia conflict and the lessons learned out of this conflict. This war started on 28th of February with US and Israel on one side and Iran on the other side. US attacked Iran and claimed that this war is going to be end within the next 7 or 8 days or 10 days, but this is the 38th day of war and it has costed already $43 billion to USA. Iran is also badly devastated, but Iran is not ready to step back. So, what lessons have we learned? What are the lessons that we need to understand, we need to learn in order to be prepared for future warfare? So, let's have a look at the GS paper 2 syllabus. This article, this Iran USA war is will be integrated in three papers: GS paper 2, GS paper 3, international relations and security. In GS paper 2, this topic is related to international relations. In GS paper 3, security, energy, technology, and internal security. This topic can also be a part of ethics and essay, war, power, truth, and technology. So, do you remember? I hope you remember that essay that says that history repeats itself, first as a tragedy and second as a farce. History repeats itself first as a tragedy and second as a farce. इतिहास अपने आप को दोहराता है, पहली बार त्रासदी के तौर पे और दूसरी बार प्रहसन के तौर पे. So do not underestimate these topics. They are not only centered around geopolitics, they are centered around geoeconomics. These topics are a part of GS paper 2, GS paper 3, and essay and ethics as well. So this topic is also directly connected with India's energy security, West Asian geopolitics, and India's stake in West Asian geopolitics. Emerging warfare. This topic is also related to artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and proxy war. Global order and strategic autonomy. I already explained in detail what is strategic autonomy. What is strategic autonomy? What is strategic autonomy and how India is moving from strategic autonomy? India is moving from, I mean, I already explained strategic autonomy. Now let's talk about 10 lessons learned from US-Iran war UPSC masterclass flow. What are the lessons that we've learned? So the first lesson is world still runs on oil. This is the first lesson that we need to learn. After COP15, it was believed that the countries are moving away from fossil fuels. It was believed after successive COPs, COP15 to COP30, we always claimed about climate change. Climate change was the central theme of this entire conference of parties. From climate change, we started looking at phasing out fossil fuels. We also discussed about carbon credit. We also discussed about carbon credit, right? We discussed about how to phase out. We discussed about clean technology and energy, right? And different legislations were passed to ensure that we are moving away from fossil fuel. We are moving away from fossil fuel, right? So we were under illusion that the world is moving away from fossil fuel and the world is moving away from crude oils, but this particular war has reminded us that the world still runs on oil. As soon as the Strait of Hormuz was blocked, as soon as the Strait of Hormuz was blocked, the energy security, the energy prices went out of control, and the world was, scared because of the Strait of Hormuz was blocked. So now, despite green transition narrative, oil is still the backbone of the economies. War is immediate price spike leading to global inflation, and even the US impacted shows interdependence. Now, so this particular, the first lesson says that world still runs on oil despite having narrative related to climate change, moving away from fossil fuels, and bringing down the temperature or not going beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. The reality is the world still runs on crude oil, and it will take at least 2-3 decades for the world to move away from fossil fuel and crude oil. Now, energy is also related to strategic power and economic stability. So when the energy security is compromised, it will lead to decline of strategic power and economic instability, and it will lead to inflation, and inflation will have devastating impact on the people who are living on the margins. So this is the first lesson we've learned from US-Iran war. The second one is asymmetric warfare is a game changer. On one hand, while United States of America, world superpower, fights with the huge weapons, huge or big or billions of dollar worth of weapon systems. On the other hand, Iran is fighting with cost effective weapon system, mainly drones, a combination of ballistic missiles and cluster munitions. So here, this is an example of asymmetric warfare. It is not the size of the dog in the fight that matter. It is not the size of the dog in the fight that matter. It is the size of the dog. It is the size of fight in the dog that matters. It is not the size of the country or the size of the military that matters. This Iran and West Asia war has changed the entire dynamic. This particular war has changed the entire dynamics of warfare. Right? So here it is, asymmetric warfare is a game changer. Iran is leading with low-cost drones, proxy militias, and missile swarms, and devastating or crippling the entire weapon system of USA. US responses are high-cost interception system, whereas Iran is using cheap attack versus cheap attack on expensive defense system of Iran. So the second one is asymmetric warfare. The third lessons that we've learned is geography still rules power. So let's understand why geography plays a critical role. Geography defines everything. Geography defines everything. On the basis of geography, geography is destiny. I would say geography is destiny, because geography defines your economy and history. So everything is related to geography, and that's why we say geo-economic, geopolitical, and geostrategic. Geography is at the center of entire international relations or international trade. So when USA decided to attack Iran, USA forgot to calculate the geography. Now, geography is in favor of Iran. Let me explain you how. How geography is in favor of Iran? Because Iran is surrounded with, on this side, Iran is surrounded with mountain ranges. This side, there is also Elbrus Mountain. Right? Now, on this side and this side, there are Daste Lut and Daste Kavir mountain range. So, Iran is shielded. Iran is shielded on all sides from mountain ranges and desert area. Apart from that, there is also a narrow passage. There is also a narrow passage called Strait of Hormuz. There is also a narrow passage which is known as Strait of Hormuz, and this is the connecting point of Arabian Sea into Persian Gulf, and Iran sits here. This entire area is dominated by Iranian forces. Now this mountain range is Zagros mountain range. So, what before attacking Iran, US never calculated geography, and geography plays a critical role in the development or underdevelopment of a nation. So, geography is everything. We'll go back to here. Strait of Hormuz is related to 20% of global oil flow. So, if Strait of Hormuz is responsible for 20% global outflow from this space, this is a leverage, this is a lever which can be used by Iran in its favor. Iran leverages location. So geography is a force multiplier and which is visible in US Iran war. Lesson number 4 is regime change doesn't mean killing an individual. What US decided, US thought that by decapitating the entire leadership, Iranian leadership, they will destroy Iran. But this didn't happen because Iran doesn't work in a centralized military system. Iran doesn't work in a centralized military system. Iran works in a a mosaic style military arrangement. So, by killing one particular leader or by killing the entire leadership in one go, you cannot destroy the entire regime. So this was the biggest mistake. So Iran, while United States of America works, US Army works in a centralized manner, Iranian forces work in a decentralized manner. If one leader is eliminated, another leader takes an immediate command. The entire Iranian military forces are divided into 31 units, and every unit is independent of each other. They are independent to take decisions. They have separate logistical arrangement. They have separate supply chain, and they have separate command unit. So this is what is required. Regime change is not, killing an individual is not about changing the regime. Lesson number 4 is related to alliances are not absolute, right? We all know that NATO, US talks about NATO. US is not happy with the NATO because NATO members, mainly the European Union countries, are not ready to fund this war, not ready to support this war. Why? Because they say that this is not our war. This is not our war, where Donald Trump was expecting that these countries will come forward and they will support their war. So here, alliances are not absolute. Alliances are fragile and alliances depend on their interest. Depend on the interest of the countries. So US allies are not ready. The US allies are not ready to enter into this war. They are going for the selective support. European Union countries are not ready to support and fund this war. Gulf is also balancing because Gulf countries know that the more we support to the USA, the more attack will be heaped upon us. Arab countries are already paying the price of being a US allies, and you Gulf countries have already started thinking about having an alternative arrangement related to their security. Instead of being dependent on USA for their security, they should look for alternatives, or they should prepare themselves for any kind of future attack from Iran or any neighboring country. So, lessons 5, alliances are not absolute. Next is wealth is not security. Gulf nations are rich, high military spending, yet oil infrastructure is not safeguarded. Reliance on US protection. So you cannot be dependent on other countries for your national security. Your national security is your national security, and if you depend upon other country for your national security, you are going to face the wrath of gods. And this is what is a critical and bitter lesson for all Saudi monarchs and Gulf countries. So wealth is not security. You may have wealth, but you may not have the technology to support or control any kind of attack on your territory. Lesson number 7, information warfare is the new battlefield. Information warfare. So the war of war of narratives, that matters the most. The war of narrative. It says perception becomes reality when you have the power of social media, when you have the power of artificial intelligence and deepfake technology, and if you are creating a perception, and even if that perception is fake, perception becomes reality, and this is what is happening. The war of perception, the war of narrative, and Iran is playing is wonderfully. Iran has proved to the world that US is a fading power. US is a receding power. US might be able to dismantle Iran totally, but one thing is for sure, that US is degrading itself by entangling itself in this war. So, fake videos, narrative manipulation, and conflicting claims. I mean, because of these conflicting claims, narrative manipulation, and fake video, the truth becomes blurred. Nobody knows what is the truth, but everyone believes what is the repeated narrative, what is the dominant narrative. Iran has created a narrative that yes, US is in turmoil, US is in a quagmire, US is not, I mean, especially the US leadership is in confusion. US leadership is doing a flip flop. They are changing their goalpost every now and then, and they are bleeding profusely. So this is war of narrative. Your country might be smaller one, but if you control the narrative, you can control the outcome as well. If you control the narrative, you can control the outcome as well. Lesson number 8 is AI is the double-edged sword. In this entire war, AI is used in target identification, real-time decision making, but at the same time, AI is also leading to reduced human control and fast escalation, leading to millions of lives lost and millions and billion-dollar property destroyed. So, artificial intelligence, I mean, it has already been said that science is a great master, science is a great servant, but bad master. So this is what I mean. This was the statement which I heard, which I used to hear in my childhood school days. So AI is the double-edged sword. We have to be responsible, and we have to ensure that AI governance is taking place. Otherwise, AI can AI is already a disruptive power, and it is changing the entire landscape of warfare. Now, Article 19, I mean, Lesson 19, civilian infrastructure is the primary target. So, for civilian infrastructure, I would say that in this war, in this entire war, the new targets are disalination plants, data centers, and railway infrastructure, supply chain network. So these are the new casualty of war. So civilian infrastructure is the primary target. Apart from that, Iran also attacked desalination plants across Middle East countries and data centers. So primarily the targets were oil refineries, port, and power grids, which led to economic paralysis and social disruption. So, economy has become the battlefield. Damage your enemy with thousand cuts, and this is what Iran is doing. So, primarily the civilian infrastructure has come under the attack, and the new targets of attacks were desalination plants and data centers. Uh, Lesson number 10 is no clear end game. There is no possible outcome in this war. Both countries are claiming for their victory. US is giving extension after extension, and US is always claiming that they can send Iran into a stone age, and they can make Iran a hell. But we are yet to see what is the end game, what is going to happen. So here, possible outcomes can be stalemate or negotiation or endless conflict, but whatever it may be, Iran is ready for a longer prolonged war. Now, no decisive victory as of now. So modern warfare is perpetual. This war can be continued for few months or years or decades as well. We've seen that Russia-Ukraine war is going on for the past 3-4 years. Again, Hamas and Israel conflict is going on for the past 3 years, and there is no end in sight, despite intervention from different world powers. So we are living in a dangerous time, and we might be leading to the third world war. But this world war is not happening at one single location. We can face the fractured world war. We can see a glimpse of third world war into different theaters, such as Russia Ukraine theater, such as Israel Hamas theater, or US Iran theater, or there can be another front in South China Sea between China and Taiwan. So this is what can happen in future. So this is what we've learned today. for mains, UPSC mains answer writing, the US Iran conflict reflects the transformation of modern warfare from state centric decisive battles to multi dimensional, technology driven, and economically disruptive engagement where victory is ambiguous and consequences are global. This is the mains ready line. If a question comes about the global if there's a question related to UN relevance or related to the global warfare or the conflict or this kind of question, you can use this ready-made answer. The US-Iran conflict reflects the transformation of a modern warfare from state-centric decisive battles to multi-dimensional, technology-driven, and economically disruptive engagements where victory is ambiguous and consequences are global. So this is it in this article. We'll get back to you with some more information. Till then, wish you a wonderful day ahead. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.